I'm afraid you are partly wrong. I don't know that much of Ukraine. I've been here a couple of times and I'm very happy for the invitation. And I would like to say at the outset that I'm very impressed by the way your country is managing a very difficult situation. I'm coming from Sweden. We have been a peaceful nation, have not been involved in conflicts for more than 200 years. And we can hardly understand what it means to be in a situation where you have occupation in part of your country and this constant tension with Russia. And I think you are managing that quite well, I must say. And I just wish that we, the rest of Europe, could do more to support you than we do. And I can just hope that somehow, by some miracle, this conflict, this tension will subside and you will be able to reach an agreement. Because otherwise it will of course be very, very difficult to move forward and make progress. I very much resonate with the comments made by Evgen Utkin. I see the same kind of changes going on in the world. Technological changes, political, social changes. And some of it is very positive. Some of it is not so positive. Technologies have positive sides, but also some risky sides. And I must say that although I fully embrace the digital revolution, and I think Ukraine should do it even more than you do, we also have to realize there are some risks. Who will in the future own our data? Will our data be owned by a few multinational companies that control all the power, indirectly and directly? What about our privacy? That's a huge issue which nobody really wants to deal with. And I don't think Ukraine can deal with it alone, but it can be part of a dialogue. Secondly, employment, labour market. Nobody knows what will happen, but many people will in the future be redundant, and they may lack the skills to pick up the very jobs that will be offered. So the whole question about labour market and how people will fare in that new labour market is an issue. The whole question of governance and fake news, both the Trump election, Brexit, and now more recently the Kenyan election, was manipulated through technology. We know that, and we don't really know how to deal with it. So while I'm very positive about this digital revolution, and the logic there is very different from the industrial society, and I think most politicians have not really understood it, we have to be cautious, we have to take the risk seriously. My friend Graham Maxton made a point this morning that capitalism today is not very conducive to real progress and well-being. The so-called trickle-down effect that once we grow the economy, automatically all people will be lifted up is not really true. We have seen over the last 30, 40 years a colossal polarization when it comes to wealth and income. And I need not quote the statistics. And unfortunately, and I deal a lot with climate change, and I'm chairman of a big innovation program at the European level in Climate Kick. We look for low-carbon technology solutions. The problem is that GDP growth, as we know it, the higher it is, the more purchasing power, the higher CO2 emissions. So we really have to be very careful when we plan the economy, and we have to reform the economic system so that it addresses the social and the ecological issues as well. We live today in a full world. When we started to develop our economies, the world was more or less empty. When I was a boy, we were less than 3 billion people in the world. We are now approaching 8. And if everybody is going to have the living standard that we have in Sweden or in the United States, we would need several planets. And we don't have several planets. And that's why I'm so happy that the organizers have translated one of my most recent books about the circular economy, where I tried to show that by using not only energy but also materials in a more clever way, you can have win-win-win solutions for society. Because the fact is, the present system, it throws away a lot of money all the time. We take resources, we turn them into products, we use them for a short period of time. We don't really recycle materials well. We don't reuse components. We throw away money or we incinerate it. So here we can do a lot to become more efficient, to save money, and to save or reduce pollution. So I think Ukraine, if I had to give advice, I would say embrace the digital economy, embrace the clean technology revolution, look into the circular economy. It offers a lot of opportunities. And be careful with free trade. I agree, trade is very important, but no country in the world so far has succeeded in a totally free trade system. You need protection in the beginning to build up your infrastructure, your industries. And the way some of us in Western Europe and the US in particular have dominated the global economy in the last 20 years, it has made us richer, but not necessarily the rest of the people. Thank you. Well, I don't think anyone really knows what is going to happen. I have seen several reports, one from Oxford University a few years ago, which said that, if I remember correctly, 47% of today's jobs in America would disappear within 20 years. The other day, one of the authors of that report came out in a new context from Nesta, which is another institution in the UK, saying, no, it won't be that much. But the main problem will be the transition, because so many people will become redundant, they will lose their jobs, and they won't have the skills necessary for new jobs that will be offered. So that is the first issue for the political system to address. What do we do in this transition? I like the idea, by the way, about planet stewardship, because there is so much to repair. So that may be one of the issues. The problem I see is really that many of the jobs that will disappear, they are now in the private sector. Many of the new jobs that may be offered are in the public sector. It's about caring for children, caring for the elderly, culture, education, etc. And they have to be financed somehow. So literally it means raising the taxes. And it shouldn't be a problem if the money is spent well by the public sector, offering people new kinds of jobs, offering people to enhance their skills, etc. But I can see, in particular in the US, just to mention to increase taxes by 1% and you are dead as a politician. Also in Europe, it's a difficult issue. I don't think we have a recipe. I don't think we have a blueprint to how to do this. We are overtaken by this. And I don't see any political party in Europe that has a well-developed strategy on how to embrace the digital economy. We don't. We are naked into that. So that's one of the issues we have to deal with, and very, very urgently. And if Ukraine could take on this and address it in a holistic way, I think that would be wonderful, because you have a lot of talent here that understands what's going on. I listened carefully to what the minister said, and I think what some of the initiatives seems to be very well placed. But I think we face two problems here, at least based on my experience from the European Union and from Sweden, and that is there is a generational issue. People who are in their 20s and maybe early 30s, they are very much hands-on. They understand what's going on. But my generation, and let's say those who are 40 plus, they have, let's face it, difficulties to really understand the pace and what's going on. So that's one of the problems. And so when we talk about education, I think we need to think about educating us as much as the young people. But secondly, the educational system as such is very vertical. We have a lot of specialists in society, but we have very few people who understand how things are interlinked. And it's the interlinkages, it's the interconnectednesses that are the difficult issues to address. That's where we find the problems. And we have too few people who really are good at doing that. And I can see it in the Swedish government all the time, that different ministries, they don't fight each other, but they defend their turf. And some of the issues we are discussing here now, you need much more integrated decision making. Look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. They are 17. If you pursue them one after one, you're not going to make it. You have to have an integrated approach. And there we lack capacity. So we have to work on that. Easy to sum up in 1 minute. First of all, I think business as usual is no option. We need to rethink a lot, in both with regard to how we organize politics and how we organize the economy. The gentleman from the Emirates this morning said, as an advice, turn the government into a business. I think it was a ridiculous proposition. We need balance between the market and the political system. Because if the market would solve all the problems, we wouldn't have such problems as we have, because markets have dominated for the last 30, 40 years. So if we want to have a more equal society, we need policy interventions. If we want to save us from climate change, we need policy intervention. And because of the rapid technology change, we need to build a lot of flexibility into the system, because we don't know what happens 5 years from now. Some of the decisions we may take today may be look very silly. So then we have to be flexible and rethink. And I think education is a must, because people will need new skills to be able to fare well in this new society and in this technology-changing society. And we need innovation all the time, but not innovation only to make business, but also to address some of the social and ecological problems we face. And I see too much of innovation today only looking for rapid exits and to earn a lot of revenue. I think we need to look at it more holistically and see that, yes, technologies are good, but they need also to address these common problems that we have.
Thank you.